Hey Arthur, I'm really hungry. You're always hungry. So, what do you want to eat?
I don't know, something like bread?
But where do you want to get it from? Let's go to the store. But I've heard the bread that you get from the store contains a lot of preservatives and artificial flavorings. So, why don't we make it?
Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's go then.
Yeah, okay.
So in the first step of making this basic bread recipe, you want to mix in 3-4 teaspoons of dry yeast into warm water in a measuring cup. Then you want to measure 68 grams of brown sugar. You want to make sure your measurements are accurate. Then add your sugar into the yeast and water mixture. Using a spoon, stir and make sure they are mixed well. This process takes quite some time, so you want to ensure your water is warm but not too hot, roughly around 45 degrees Celsius. In this recipe, we are using instant yeast, but if you were to use dry yeast, you would require to leave the mixture aside for roughly 10 minutes and allow the yeast to be activated. Next, you want to mix in the oil. You will want to mix in about 30 ml of oil inside your yeast sugar mixture. Do remember to keep the workspace clean and tidy as you work with the oil, as you don't want a mess. Then, add in the salt. This is just an approximation. It's only about 4 grams, so mix it all together and make sure it's well mixed before proceeding. Next, you want to pour in your mixture into a larger bowl before pouring in your bread flour slowly. Make sure you get all of it. Then start mixing it with your hand. You want to mix it until you get a doughy consistency. You can pull it or stretch it, poke it, do whatever you want to need to create the nice soft doughiness. Oil the trays with some oil before placing your dough inside. Make sure the oil is evenly spread out. Place your dough into 2 separate tins. After you have put your dough inside the tins, you want to cover the tray with a damp cloth and leave it in there to proof. During this stage, the dough will start to swell and rise due to the humid environment created. After the dough has doubled in size and after an hour of proofing, you want to remove it from your tins and knead it in flour until it's coated with a light layer and is smooth before placing it back into the trays and allowing it to proof once more before baking it in the oven.
Yeast in a regular bread dough works by consuming glucose and other carbohydrates and converting this into ethanol and carbon dioxide. It gets trapped in the dough mixture, causing the dough to rise over time. This is why proofing or rising time is essential in bread making.
2 hours later.
Oh my god, this bread is taking so long.
I know, right? It took 2 hours and I think it's going to take another half. Where did you get the bread from?
I bought it. But seriously, guys, do you want to know a way better recipe?
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Sift the self-rising flour into the bowl. You will want to sift it thoroughly in order to add extra air into the flour mixture and also to get rid of any large flour chunks or dirt. Sifting can take quite a while as it has to be done precisely and carefully. After the sifting is done, pour in sugar into the flour and mix well. Pour in the sparkling water. It should be kept cool to maintain maximum carbonation. Mix all this together. It will eventually form this dough-like substance. This recipe does not require any kneading, and do not overstir as you will get a tough dough. Then pour this into a greased tin. Smooth it out with a spatula before pouring your melted butter over the whole dough. Spread it out nicely and you're done! The reason why sparkling water bread rises is due to the ingredients. Firstly, the self-rising flour. It rises due to the baking powder inside. It is different from the normal flour, as baking powder is made of sodium carbonate, which when mixed with water releases carbon dioxide. At the same time, sparkling water, when added to dough or batter, bubbles and creates pockets of air that expand under heat. giving the final product a lighter texture. But of course, even though this creates a sort of instant dough without the need of proofing, the time is of essence. Once the water is no longer under pressure, it must be bound quickly to the dough with gentle hand folding. It has a peak performance level of 15 minutes before the benefits of the bubbles diminish.
So from this experiment, we would like to show that in the process of bread making, yeast isn't the only ingredient needed. There is a faster and more efficient approach, as carbon dioxide is the most important and crucial part of bread making. As long as we can trap carbon dioxide successfully, then that will be the key to a successful bread recipe.
Don't leave your bread up for too long because of fungus.
It's free real estate.